The wind across the southern Iraqi plain carries fine dust that stings the eyes. It has done so for 7,000 years. In 1919, a British museum team under Henry Hall reached a low, unremarkable tell near the Euphrates. They expected little. What they found were the broken walls of mud brick houses and thousands of fragments of black-painted pottery, unlike anything recorded from the Sumerian cities that rose later. The site was named Tel al-Ubaid. Radiocarbon dates and stratigraphic layers would later fix the beginning of this culture at roughly 6,500 BC, more than 2,000 years before the first cuneiform tablets appear in nearby Uruk. No kings are named here, no epic poems survive, only the patient record of things left in the ground.
Yet the traces are unmistakable. Villages, temples, irrigation canals. The slow, deliberate choices of people who decided to stay in a land that flooded every spring and dried every summer. This is where the story begins. Not with a thunderclap of invention, but with the quiet accumulation of daily decisions. Stand on the alluvial flats south of what would become Eridu. 6.5 millennia ago, the river still shifted course without warning. Each flood left behind thick bands of silt. People came anyway. They built rectangular houses of mud brick, often with several rooms, arranged in loose clusters that grew into villages of several hectares. At Tel el-Awali, the earliest layers show organized blocks of storage granaries, separated by narrow lanes. They cleared fields and dug simple canals to guide the floodwater onto barley and wheat. Lentils and flax followed. Sheep, goats, cattle, and pigs grazed the edges. Fishing was not casual. At Site H3 on the Kuwaiti coast, archaeologists recovered a ceramic boat model and bitumen slabs still bearing reed impressions and barnacle scars. These are the earliest clear traces of seagoing vessels in Western Asia. Pottery, identical to Ubaid types, appears along the western shores of the Persian Gulf, carried by people who knew how to cross open water. They did not write, they did not build ziggurats yet, but they had already committed to a way of life that would shape everything that followed.
Walk the excavation square at dusk, and the ground is still warm. A worker's brush reveals a sherd no larger than a palm. The clay is buff-colored, the paint black and geometric. Inside the houses lie other clues. Clay figurines, most of them female, some with elongated lizard-like heads. Some adults show deliberate cranial modification, heads bound in infancy to grow elongated. At Tepe Gora in the north and Eridu in the south, the first unmistakable temples appear. Rectangular halls with altars and offering benches. Public space built by collective labor. By 4200 BC, the painted pottery begins to fade. The villages do not vanish, they change. The people who spoke Sumerian and pressed the first wedges into clay tablets around 3400 BC did not arrive on an empty plain. They inherited fields already plowed, temples already standing, and trade routes already open. Textbooks still open the chapter on the first civilization with Sumer. The ground tells a different sequence. The Ubaid villages were not primitive footnotes. Quiet conviction. They were the long, steady preparation. Yet the silt still holds their houses, their boats, their painted bowls, and the foundations of the first temples. Every spade that turns the earth at Eridu or Awali
uncovers another layer of the same truth. What we call the beginning was never a beginning at all. It was a continuation. What else, then, remains buried beneath the next unmapped tell?